What really obvious thing have you only just realized? I recently realized I was allergic to carrots. I just thought they made everyone's mouth numb. You know, just like almonds. I also learned recently that I have an almond allergy. I learned that all spices actually want spice, and not a blend of spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. That big ships we got to turn as a kid was not actually controlling the cruise ship. This girl I know has a dog named Deirdre. 2 years into knowing her and being around Deirdre, I was having a conversation with her sister-in-law, and I said I love the name Deirdre. How did she come up with that? Her sister-in-law responds, Deirdre, and I said yay, it's a neat name. She started laughing and said no. D-O-G. The way you spell dog. I'm still mind blown about this lol. Personal injury lawyer commercials play more frequently during daytime TV because their clientele is injured, stuck at home, and watching daytime TV. Super embarrassing, but in college I would order rum and cokes because I heard everyone else ordering the same. Turns out I misheard everyone and found out it was just rum and coke. That they put measurement stickers next to gas station doors so if a robber is running out of the store you can get a better estimate of their height. I always thought they were just there for something fun to do on road trip stops. I thought astigmatism was astigmatism. So I thought you could have two stigmatisms. Today my friend realized pipe cleaners were originally for cleaning pipes. After I suggested using one to clean a metal straw because it's similar to a pipe. When I was a kid my mom told me my rabbit Rosie went to live on a farm. In my early 20s I saw an episode of The Sopranos where everyone makes fun of Tony when he realizes his dog didn't really go to live on a farm. That's when I realized Rosie had not gone to a farm either. Edit. I would like to officially apologize for the cascading wave of terrible realizations my post has caused. Truly we sit on thrones of lies. The houses in Bikini Bottom are car mufflers. It called Menela's Warehouse and not Menela's Warehouse. It has been a couple years since I realized this, and I just think that is a clever name. That ponies are Enelid baby horses. I am 35. Not just now, but I think it applies. I'm currently in my mid-30s. I didn't realize until I was about 28 years old that my mom's name was Betty and her sister's name was Wilma. Betty and Wilma. From the Flintstones. And yes, they were definitely named after the cartoon. I asked. Close bracket. Flash forward 2 years later. My aunt Wilma informed me that they were fraternal twins. Again. Another thing for 30 years I had not known. Phineas and Ferb are shaped like a P and an F. When I was little we had an Australian Shepherd named Sydney. I did not understand why her name was Sydney until 18 years later. My mom used to make my sisters and I a burloin bouton so for dinner. I was 27 when I realized that they were actually tortellini, but she knew we were dumb kids and would refuse something named so strange, even though they were delicious. The reason the cord hook on the vacuum spins is so you can take the whole cord off at once instead of unraveling it one loop at a time. Like I have been my whole life. Edit. I learned how to spell cord today. The villain in Halloween is not played by Michael Myers. Principal Belding from Saved by the Bell is named Belding. For the longest time, I always thought prima donna was prima donna. The Grammys are called that because the awards are gramophones. That Mitchell and Jello's David is David from David and Goliath. How did I not know this? Question mark. I thought it was just dude called Dave. Edit. I love how many of you just learned this today or very recently and just thought he was some dude called Dave too. We got there in the end guys. Better late than never. Edit. I never knew there was a sling. I thought it was his trousers. Yes. I honestly thought that. Never saw the rocks. Edit. I'm gonna need some more Daves not here. Man comments before this post is complete. Saw a place labeled as public house when I moved nearby recently. It was at that moment I realized oh that's why they call them pubs. It's short for public house. Cruella Devil was a cruel devil. I am 30 and I realized a few months ago that Ora or Ora is cowboy for Ora how do you know? That the Houston Astros name comes from astronauts. Not me, but my sister asked me about 2.5 months ago when we were watching John Wick 3 during the desert scene. She asked me if they were real, and I asked if what were real, and she said Urus and Lanzo, and I busted out laughing so goddamn hard and said I mean deserts. Yes, the Uralo. Thinking about it right now got me laughing. My bedroom door was broke, and I finally got around to fixing it. Thought the knob was broke cause it was pushed in towards the door, so I pulled it out and realized that was how you lock the door. In the movie Cats vs Dogs, when the dog goes son of my mom, he's actually saying son of a bitch. That the division symbol, A, is just a blank fraction with dots replacing the numerator and denominator. Story time. When I was little, for some reason I hated toast. Just hated it. My parents always tried to make me eat it, but I always refused. My grandma decided to try something different. She took toast, cut it up into tiny squares, put some butter on them, and called them little pillows. I ate them all the time. Only now, at 22 years old, did I realize it was just freaking toast. I live in a part of Chicago called Greektown for 8 years and never realized the blue and white Christmas lights were meant to represent the colors on their flag. It just dawned on me today. My boyfriend did not know that his electric toothbrush has a timer on it that goes off at 1 minute and 2 minutes. He actually returned it and got a new one thinking it was broken. Since the timer is just a brief sort of pause/reduction in the vibration, he would be like root fire, literally just charged this fucking teen go thinking that the battery was already dying. One day, and I cannot remember exactly what the conversation was, I brought up how I liked that my toothbrush let me know when I had brushed long enough. And it was like a light bulb went off in his head and suddenly he put it together that was what his toothbrush was doing all along. That to take off the plastic piece on top of deodorant you just simply twist the bottom a few times. Lmao. I live in Denmark, so English is not my native language, and I just realized that weekend means the end of the week. The lead singer of Blur is the lead singer of Gorillaz. Oh, you want a freaking doozy? 4 years. I did not realize it was Mike Myers playing both Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. I don't know how I missed it, but it never twigged that it was the same actor. Felt like a right royal twat when that was pointed out to me. Today the radio taught me Mariah Carey wrote and sang All I Want for Christmas Is You. All this time I thought it was just a cover that she did so well. People loved it more than the original. Turns out it is the original. I didn't know the characters on Family Guy had accents. Live in New England watching with my wife, not from here, and she says wow they really nailed the accents. I say what accents? Blew my mind when she explained not everyone talks like that. Lmao. That Jessica Rabbit is not a rabbit, but took Roger Rabbit's last name. This is going to make me seem dumb as hell, but I recently realized why pickles don't ever come fresh. Not me, but my husband just understood that Q is pronounced Q and not key. His mind was blown. The song It's Getting Hot in Here isn't actually talking about hair temperature. I felt very stupid when I realize words I use all the time are painfully literal in their meaning. For example, breakfast implies you are literally breaking your fast. Afternoon is after the noon hour. I feel that when I find words like these, I've had an radical realization. But I'm just dense. When the kids catch their mom kissing Santa Claus, it is because Santa is their dad dressed up, not because Santa and mom have a once yearly torrid affair. I was a voracious reader and was way ahead of the curve during school, but didn't realize until age 50 that there are two discretes. One website said the trick to remembering them is the two letters stay next to each other when they want to whisper a secret. That alcohol does not freeze in a regular freezer. Eater, I was referring to drink with high alcohol content, not beer and wine. Valve released Steam. It took me a long time to realize the pun. My whole life I thought pay-per-view was actually pay-per-view because I had only ever heard people say it and only recently saw it written out. All those people were not Snoop Dogg's nephews. Learned from a similar thread. But I was 40 years old before I realized that there is an arrow indicating what side the gas cap is on by the gas gauge. This little piggy did not go to the market to do any shopping. This is so stupid, but I did not realize my moms were gay until I was almost 14, and I literally heard my mom say "Aria I'm ganoyo" to my grandma as a joke. I knew that lesbian / samasex / gay were relatively interchangeable, but it did not click as me moms are lesbians, which is another term for being gay, and they are ganoyo until that moment. My friend, 22Y, only realized last year that dolphins have to swim and live in the water to survive. He thought they're land mammals, but they just really like to swim for fun. Tenure is the word, not tenure, which is what I thought teachers got as like job security once they had worked for 10 years. It's called a department store because there are, wait for it, separate departments within the one store. I had a sudden clarence moment with that one recently. The only person who didn't think I had a drinking problem was me. SNL cast members are listed in alphabetical order in the opening credits. Have been watching for 30 years. I realized that to be in one's birthday suit it means to be without clothes. I thought for the longest time it was a specific set of clothes you would wear on your birthday each year. I found out when I asked, what happens when you don't fit in your birthday suit anymore? Lol. That Ecuador is named after the equator. Okay, this was a couple of years ago, but it was something I realized way too late in my life. You're supposed to use a towel to dry yourself after a shower. I was just wrapping it around myself and sitting / walking around in it until I air dried. Life is so much better when you stop reading YouTube comments. That cheeseaters are amazing soup crackers for tomato soup. I'm in my 50s. I grew up in a rural area north of New York City. I'm a veteran. I'm reasonably intelligent. Reasonably well traveled. I've been hearing and repeating this expression on and off for all of my life. Friend / acquaintance 1. Hey, man, see you soon. Friend / acquaintance 2. Not if I see you first. Smirk. It's just within the last few years that I realized that's almost always joking. Kind jab at friend / acquaintance 1. It was so ritualized as a way to say goodnight to a buddy that it never occurred to me that it meant that the friend would choose to avoid the other person.